Karl Lagerfeld in one of his final public appearances last November, the star of Paris's Christmas lights ceremony. Fame that he gained over a lifetime of pioneering. In the world of fashion, it takes something special to stand out. Enter the legend of Lagerfeld. At the Chanel flagship store in the French capital, they miss him already. Eternal admiration reads one tribute. At London Fashion Week, the Duchess of Cornwall joined others in paying her respects to fashion royalty.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the show, let's take a moment to remember the brilliant Karl Lagerfeld.
Outside too, his presence is everywhere, and thoughts about what his death will mean for Chanel.
How do I write that?
I don't know what I shall say. We will miss him.
Keep it classic.
Yeah, keep it classic.
As we wore the classic Chanel today.
Yeah.
Keep it classic.
Yeah, don't be like a Nick Strick style brand, please.
Definitely. But, you know, really sad news for all of his really close friends and family.
Yeah.
Benetton, the struggling Italian brand that could do with Lagerfeld's Midas touch, remembered him too, as they showed off their latest collection.
What I will keep very close to my heart is the example of a man who knew how to be an extraordinary artistic director. He is the father of all artistic directors.
Many will try, but few will leave a legacy like Karl Lagerfeld.
And for more on Karl Lagerfeld's legacy, I'm very pleased to welcome Jette Joop. She herself is a fashion and jewellery designer. Welcome, Jette Joop. Now, you've met Karl Lagerfeld many times.
Yeah.
What are your personal recollections of the man?
The last time I met him was at his show that he had of his pictures that he took of his cat for the car company Opel. And nobody could sort of show himself as flamboyantly as he did. You know, when he was around, you felt like the king of everything is in the room. And there was like a whisper around him, Karl is there, Karl is there, Karl is there, and the whole entourage, you know, trying to make sure that he was happy. And he was a very, very intelligent, sharp man.
Flamboyant is a good way to describe him.
Yes.
That is his public image. But how different was his public image from the man you met in private?
If you think about his roots back in good old Hamburg, you know, Hamburg is a very conservative industry city. And he came from quite a wealthy home. And he seemed to have been what today would be called an ADHS child. He wanted to draw all the time. He didn't want to play with other kids. So you see that sometimes you should leave very creative people alone and not make them change. Otherwise, we probably won't have another Karl Lagerfeld one day.
So he was always seeking attention. He always wanted to be in the public eye, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but I believe he was probably much more intelligent than he ever showed, you know, because he was reading all the time. He spoke several languages. And one time he said that he was speaking way faster than his brain was sort of formulating the words. So sometimes the stuff he said was very, very provocative.
And controversial.
Yeah, sometimes he didn't like fat people, then he didn't like old people, then he didn't like this and that. And, you know, because he was such an amazing creative mind, he was allowed to do that. Imagine somebody else would do that today.
Now, you know, you yourself are a famous fashion designer. What do you think made Karl Lagerfeld's fashions so unique?
Well, he had this amazing sense of how he could sort of keep this brand, Chanel, totally up to snuff, totally modern and fresh. So he invited young talents all the time to be on stage and to wear his creations. So there was an edge to the brand that kept it very young and fresh, because if you imagine how old the brand is and how old Karl Lagerfeld was and how much everybody is still desiring these bags, that's really a fabulous thing he did.
You know, apart from his fashion, he was such an amazing personality. Everybody felt that they knew him. But apparently, in private, he was a very quiet and reclusive man.
Well, obviously, if you know a lot about the world and especially a lot about the fashion industry, it maybe makes you want to be alone sometimes, because if you have to deal with vanities all the time, you maybe sometimes also deal with not only the good part in people, but also with the vain, difficult part. So it's very clear that for an artist, you maybe then want to be reclusive, alone, and in peace. And he had very close friends in Monte Carlo, where he, I guess, felt at home very much. There will never be anybody like him again.
Gosh, there's so many anecdotes about him. People talk about what he said, what he did. What is your favorite recollection of Karl Lagerfeld?
Well, I like the way he was sort of controlling this whole industry and how he was sort of making bad jokes at the same time. He was sort of dissing everybody, but making everybody fall in love with him at the same time.
Yes, as you said, he was controversial. He once described a French president as an imbecile, but I think that's people loved his kind of outspokenness.
His humor was amazing.
Yeah, Jette, Joop, thank you so much for coming on to DW and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks a lot.